Not much is known about Edgar the Snail Hevle. He was born in the 1950s and would rise through the ranks of the Aryan Brotherhood and ultimately would become one of the 3 members of the federal 3-man commission. He was known to be called the Snail for his patience and how he carried out orders with extreme precision and calmness. He made sure things got done correctly and would order murders with almost a quiet tone. He was a strategist and would act as an arbitrator of sorts. And they say he was calm to the point of making people uncomfortable. No yelling, just simple orders of murder and other acts of violence to be carried out at his command.
Located in a corner of the Crab Orchard National Wildlife Refuge. It is the U.S. Penitentiary at Marian, Illinois, sometimes called the House of Pain or the End of the Line. Once it was the scene of the customary prison violence exploding in a week of rampage in October 1983 that left 2 guards knifed to death and an inmate killed. Since that time, something approaching calm has prevailed at Marian. But are we paying too high a price for that peace? Bob Fall reports from the belly of the beast.
This is America's toughest prison, for what the U.S. Bureau of Prisons calls the worst of the worst.
Now we have all our rotten apples in one barrel.
In this barrel, most of those apples are kept in virtual solitary confinement, lockdown, in tiny 6 by 9 foot cells, 23 hours a day.
Alienate them. That's the number one goal. Alienate them. Make them feel forgotten, abandoned by the people on the street, society, their family, their friends.
Where else in the world is there a place that people are locked up for 4 years straight, 23 hours a day?
For almost 300 men in Marian's lockdown, there is no work, no group activity, no church.
We're being treated as a kind of a hazardous waste.
It makes you angry. It makes you bitter.
Some people, they go crazy. Other people, they break them.
Marian is unique. No other prison in U.S. history has been in lockdown this long. And U.S. officials say the Get Tough policy, which began here 4 years ago, will be permanent.
We have one basic requirement. We require inmates to behave themselves for a period of time.
Prison critics say Marian is barbaric, designed not just to control inmates, but to humiliate and then break them. Marian, say the critics, turns men into animals.
I don't think there's any question that it's a form of slow torture.
Marian is a mind control prison where your human spirit is not meant to survive. Your human spirit is meant to be broken.
Prison rules, for example. Officials say if inmates conform, they can return to other prisons. But inmates swear the rules are always changing, that they don't know what they have to do to get out.
I wash the socks, I hang them on the bars. I'm told to take that off. Now, if I don't do that, that means another year in this place.
Marian cost a small fortune, almost $40,000 a year for each prisoner, roughly twice other federal prisons. Every time a man is moved here, 3 guards accompany him. To keep weapons and drugs out, inmates who come back from court appearances have body cavities examined by X-ray or by hand.
It made me feel just like a woman that got raped. That's how I felt. Because it was the same thing, I'm telling you.
Prison officials insist that Marian is essential, that it makes prisoners elsewhere toe the line so they won't get sent here.
The frustration, the rage that builds, you say then, can be a good thing?
Definitely. I mean, as long as everything is green and roses and you got your own way, why should you change? I don't see any other better way of doing it at this point in time.
But Marian's critics contend everything Marian controls now will explode later.
If you mistreat them, and you mistreat them for long periods of time, that mistreatment eventually comes back to haunt you.
You are now creating violent people, without any question about it. The Marians of the world are nothing but sitting time bombs.
And it's like you put a dog in a cage and poke it with sticks and abuse it and treat it badly for years, and then you let it out of the cage. Do you expect it to be a good pet? Tell it to go play with the children? Of course not. You can't expect that to happen with prisoners either.
The question then is whether America's safest prison is also America's most dangerous. Bob Fall, CBS News, Marian, Illinois.
For the prison system on the American agenda tonight, the problem is this. What do you do with those prison inmates who are the worst troublemakers, the most violent, the ones who make it nearly impossible for prison authorities to go about the business of confining and rehabilitating other inmates. The federal government and 2/3 of the states have found what they believe is a solution, segregating the very meanest in special prisons with so-called super maximum security and minimal privileges. The toughest prison in the land is in Marian, Illinois, and our agenda reporter is Walter Rogers.
Marian is psychological and physical torture. Most men can't handle it.
Close 10.
They even try to escape. You know, they even try to jump the fence to get shot, kill themselves. They tired of it. They can't handle it no more.
There's no other alternative, because these are people who have a long history of either hurting people or trying to break out of prison, and they've had every reasonable opportunity to function in an open population.
For nearly 2 years, Warden John Clark, a former Roman Catholic priest, kept the lid on what critics call the most repressive prison in the country. Marian collects the most dangerous gang leaders and troublemakers from other federal and state prisons, like multiple murderer Matthew Granger.
You don't understand what I was. I mean, I was dripping blood off my lips. I just cut a man's head off. I was sick.
For the more than 300 inmates at Marian, home is a solitary 6 by 8 foot concrete cave. Accused murderer George Scalf spends 23 hours a day in his cell.
If you're going to leave me like this for the rest of my life, save the taxpayers' money and kill me.
In 1983, after a series of riots and murders, the Federal Bureau of Prisons locked down Marian inmates permanently. Now there is nearly one guard for every inmate. Outside recreation in this exercise cage has to be earned. Unruly inmates can be chained to their concrete slab beds for hours, even days. And there is no hesitation to overwhelm any inmate resistance with force. Critics of the system charge it is inhumane.
Marian is a monument to how much we know about the technology of control and manipulation, and how little we know about how to heal the human spirit.
With good behavior, the average inmate stays 3 years, but there is no return to society from here, only eligibility for a less restrictive prison elsewhere.
Since we've gone to this current regime, there have been no serious staff assaults, no hostage situations, no serious escape attempts.
That kind of success at a federal prison has prompted 36 states to establish their own maximum security lockdowns. But these state experiments have produced glaring failures caused by a lack of money, manpower, and oversight. An example, last May in New York's maximum security prison at Southport, inmates rioted after staff and budget cuts reduced food and medical services.
The inmates are not getting what they're supposed to be getting. They take it out on the employees of the facility.
Southport guards support prisoner lockdowns, but they say without more money and staff, Southport will never be a Marian model. Months after the riot, prisoners still intimidate guards by throwing urine and feces from their cells.
It gets in your face, your eyes, your mouth.
The problem with these lockdown units is that they are in the darkest corners of state prisons, or they are the state prisons that are least open to outside inspection.
The New York State Correctional System would not allow us inside their penitentiary at Southport and told us if we tried to take any pictures, even from the prison parking lot, we'd be cited for trespassing. Whatever the problems, authorities will continue to warehouse the most violent and disruptive inmates. The strategy, they say, eases the financial and staffing burdens on other prison systems while neutralizing the worst of the worst.
I'm a little monster. Inside, I'm a demon. If you don't have places like this, I'll make you pay. I'll make you pay every day of my life.
Walter Rogers, ABC News, Marian, Illinois.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back. Another episode of Greenlit Gang TV. Hope y'all having a blessed day. Really quick, before I jump into the video, if you would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It does go a long way for my channel. We are closing in on 25,000 subscribers, which if any of you have watched any of my videos, you know how big of a deal that is as we close out 2025. It's been a great year. And again, thank you to everyone who has continued to support the channel. So, Today, we're going to be sticking with the theme that we did the last video. We're going to be talking about another kind of lesser-known member of the Aryan Brotherhood. I like doing these videos because there's not a lot out there on these guys. Edgar, the Snail, Hevle. Now, there's not a lot out there on these guys because it's kind of hard to find information about them, but I feel like I put together a pretty good story, just like I did for Richard Turflinger, or the last guy that we covered yesterday. So Edgar, the Snail, Hevle. He's born in the 1950s. Not a lot is known about his early years or early crimes. But the best way I can kind of sum it up for these guys, a guy like Edgar Hevle and Richard Turflinger, is they are in these prisons during the Aryan Brotherhood's formative years. These guys are kind of on the ground floor as these gangs rise to power. And Hevle, he rose all the way up to allegedly was a member of the 3-man federal commission. Now, they said before 1993, it was kind of like formed around like a council that was formed kind of at the state level. And then after 1993, that's when that federal 3-man commission would come into play. And those are the famous pictures you see of Edgar the Snail Hevle, Barry the Baron Mills, you know, TD the Hulk Bingham, or Tyler the Hulk Bingham, however you want to put it. But he was a very, very important figure. But he was a little bit quieter, okay? He was known as the strategist of this gang, okay? How we talked about Richard Turflinger was kind of the brains. It said that Hevle, not so much the brains, but they said that he was very quiet. He made sure things got done with precision and were done correctly. They said that he held things together. And he was the strategist, acted as an arbitrator of sorts between other gang members or between other gangs, disputes, things that would arise. And they said that he was, and I thought this was kind of eerie, they said that he was calm to the point of making people feel uncomfortable. Not just yelling orders or trying to scare people or threaten people. He would just say monotone and order a murder like you and I would order a cheeseburger or other violent acts that he deemed or had got approved to be committed. Now, crimes. Hevle was accused of ordering murders and other acts of violence to protect the gang's operations. In the 2006 federal trial, he was convicted, along with other gang leaders, of murder and conspiring to murder black inmates. That's the famous, when they're going after the DC blacks. According to reports, he ordered the murder of another inmate over a minor slight. The inmate had thrown a packet of sugar at him. That's kind of the most famous story, I would say, out of Edgar Hevle's, whole bio. Apparently the guy threw a pack of sugar at him or at his feet, maybe out of frustration, but for whatever reason, the Snail deemed it to be to the point of, he needed to die over it. Now, he did get wrapped up. It talks about that 06 federal trial. It was that 02 RICO indictment that basically got brought down on the heads of the Aryan Brotherhood and would see a lot of them locked up in the ADX, the Supermax. They were trying to get a lot of them the death penalty, but that didn't quite work. But still, so I found an appeal that was filed, and I basically had to read through it like 3-4 times to pick out the parts that Hevle's mentioned in. And it really talks about a particular murder that he was involved in Lompoc, USP Lompoc, another federal prison. I put a picture up of it. So we're going to read from that, and then we're going to read from another article just kind of about the trial itself. So this is just out of that appeal, okay? Hevle, Mills, Bingham had all agreed to murder DC blacks. The Aryan Brotherhood started as a California prison gang and eventually spread to the federal system. AB members were incarcerated at the United States prisons in Lompoc, California, Florence, Colorado, Marian, Illinois, Leavenworth, Kansas, and Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. Through the 80s, the AB had an informal structure of command. AB members elected a 3-person council with limited oversight capabilities, meant to act more as coordinators than leaders. The council's main role was to pass messages and keep track of members, but over the years, it got more authority to make decisions. Barry Byron Mills, Edgar Hevle, and Tommy Silverstein, I didn't know that, were on the first council, with T.D. Bingham joining later. Okay, so Bingham must have replaced Tommy Silverstein. If you know the name Tommy Silverstein, a very, very famous, just a famous inmate, let alone white inmate, one of the most famous inmates in the entire history of the United States. In 1992 to 1993, the AB replaced the council with a more powerful 3-person commission. The council still existed, but now was appointed by and subordinate to the commission. The commission's written mission statement indicated that it sought to, quote, transform the AB from a dysfunctional prison gang into a viable and productive criminal organization inside prison and on the streets. Mills, Bingham, and Al Benton were the 3 AB commissioners at the time of the most events in this case. By majority vote, they could authorize any major decision for the AB, such as ordering a hit on an AB member or going to war against another prison gang. The commission oversees the organization, The council implements the commission's programs, and lower-level members carry out logistical tasks. At each prison, one member, preferably a council member, is in charge of AB affairs and reports directly to the commission. The AB's two main goals are to control, dominate, and influence the prison system so that its members can have a, quote, easy time while incarcerated, and to operate criminal enterprises such as computer fraud, identity theft, extortion, prostitution, gambling, and drug trafficking. The AB does not hesitate to kill its enemies or even its own members if they disobey orders. For new members, the AB has a policy of, quote, blood in, blood out. Potential members must commit a murder to gain full membership. AB members must also support other AB brothers, may not assault other brothers without permission, must split drug profits evenly, and may not cooperate with law enforcement. Violating any of these policies could get an AB member killed, though a kill order could only come from the AB commission. Conversely, if someone assaulted an Aryan Brotherhood member, other Aryan Brotherhood members are supposed to kill them at any costs. Prisoners indicate their status as AB members through the use of symbols such as an Irish shamrock, the letters AB, or the number 666. Now, getting into that crime or the murder that Hevle was really a part of in this indictment. Arva Ray was a member of the Aryan Brotherhood, incarcerated at USP Lompoc in California. He openly maintained a homosexual relationship, mishandled drugs, and disrespected AB brothers, all against AB rules. Hevle disliked Ray and told Thomas Miller, who testified that Ray's relationship looked bad for the AB. The commission ordered Phil Myers to organize Ray's murder. Myers promised Glenn Filkins, who was not yet a member, that he would gain full AB membership if he murdered. The blood-in requirement was eventually relaxed to where new recruits only had to, quote, show a willingness to kill. Okay, they let their guard down a little bit. If he murdered Ray, the AB, and basically they told him, okay, Filkins, you can get in if you murder Ray. The AB members at Lompoc, including Hevle, initially planned to kill Ray with rat poison, but decided against this after rat poison failed to kill another target. Inmate Jeffrey Barnett instead, and another inmate that they tried to kill with rat poison, Jeffrey Barnett. Instead, the AB decided to have Filkins kill Ray by injecting him with an overdose of heroin. It's called a hot shot, folks, and they still use that to this day. They'll give him a purposely, a loaded up shot, or I've heard things like a cotton shot. Cotton shot, really not really a hot shot. Cotton shot, we don't want to go too much into that. But the point is, they're going to really overdose them nowadays, maybe fentanyl, but they're going to basically make it look like an overdose. So maybe nobody even gets blamed for the killing. When the AB delayed in killing Ray, Hevle sent a message asking what the holdup was. Filkins and Miller carried out the murder on August 9th, 1989. When Ray did not die immediately from the heroin, Filkins strangled him with a garrote wire while Miller held him down. After the murder, Filkins told Miller that he had been admitted to the AB and showed Miller a shamrock ring made in the prison dental lab and commissioned by the AB. How do you make that in the dental lab? As evidence of his AB membership. Though two indictment came down, Hevle was convicted. He ended up being convicted of conspiracy conviction, found that Hevle had agreed to 2 acts involving murder. Bingham and Hevle were sentenced to life in prison. Michael Manby testified that prior to Ray's murder, Hevle and Phil Myers complained that Ray was, quote, not giving the right percent on the drugs to the AB, and his homosexual activity did not help the situation. They concluded that if Ray's conduct did not change, quote, he would be in big trouble. Several weeks after Ray's murder, Hevle and Myers told Manby that, quote, they have a necktie man, and the necktie man can make a necktie big enough for Manby. Wow. This referred to new AB member Glenn Filkins, who murdered Ray by strangling him with garrote wire. Manby also testified that Filkins, who later became his cellmate, admitted killing Ray based on orders from Meyer and Hevle. Hevle contends that the conversation about the necktie man could not have taken place because Hevle was in the hole at the time. While prison housing records indicate that this was probably true, being in the hole did not render Hevle incapable of communicating with fellow AB members. And that's absolutely true, man. You can get any message out, especially these AB guys, man. If you watch anything about this trial, this is where the disappearing ink, basically writing in urine, you have to hold a lighter up to it to read it. That's how Mills got the issue out to Bingham, basically war with DC blacks. It's almost like folklore at this point. Prisoners in the hole are still allowed 1 hour a day in a recreation cage. It was during the time in the rec cages that Eugene Bentley spoke with Mills and Kevin Roach spoke with Bingham. Prisoners could also communicate with each other across the rec yard by using sign language or speaking through our system of drainage pipes. AB members also snuck messages hidden in peanut shells to prisoners in the hole, who then responded by performing a specific number of push-ups or sit-ups, which were visible to the sender on the prison's closed-circuit TV. Basically let him know, hey, I got the message. That's crazy, man. Based on the evidence and drawing all inferences in the government's favor, it is not inherently improbable to believe that Manby had a conversation with Hevle and Myers while they were in the hole. Hevle contends that William Kelly's testimony that before Ray's murder, Phil Myers told him about a message that came out about the hole asking, quote, what's going on? Why isn't baby Ray being taken care of? Basically, Hevle was getting impatient. Hevle was like, what's going on? Why is he not dead yet? And they said, well, that's fabricated. Hevle tried to say that's fabricated because it was not included in the government summaries of interviews with Kelly and is impunged by Kelly's further testimony that Hevle was, quote, locked up in the hole at this time. And then there is a part in here about a Leticia Castaneda. I wasn't sure if that meant, because of how it reads, guys, it says, whose only connection to the firearm offenses was being married to one of the conspirators. And then it says, right after that, Hevle was substantially involved in the AB. Hevle had been a member of the AB since the early 80s and served in a leadership position on the council for 2 years. He was also an active participant in organizing violence pursuant to the AB rules. He helped plan Arva Ray's murder after Ray's violated AB rules, and he told AB members at Marian to make knives and organize themselves to attack the rival DC Blacks gang. Hevle's role was neither minor nor marginal, given that he could reasonably foresee that a co-conspirator might commit murder in furtherance of the conspiracy. I don't know if that Leticia Castaneda was his wife. I couldn't verify that or not. If somehow one of you knows, leave a comment down below. And then it goes into the story of the DC Blacks, which is the very famous, in December 96 at Lewisburg, USP, another federal prison, DC Blacks prison gang killed a white inmate. After the murder, Hevle gave a message to Dewey Lee, a prisoner transferring from Lewisburg to Marian, quote, to tell either Dave Sahakian or Michael McElhaney, specifically nobody else, that they'd been having racial problems at USP Lewisburg and to, quote, get ready. And Lee understood what that phrase meant. Start making knives and organizing AB members. The message was delivered sometime after January of 1997. And then another attack happened on January 2nd. About a dozen members of the DC Blacks attacked 6 white inmates at Marian. And from there on out, AB members met, decided the orders came down from Bills, Bingham, everybody that said, all right, war with DC Blacks on site, kill as many of them as you can, any situation, it doesn't matter, go. And from there, you have the massive federal indictment, and a lot of these guys kind of get etched into history. Let me know what you think in the comments below about this video today, guys. Hope you all have a good night. Bye.